I grew up in a traditional Lutheran church where in my mind being a Christian meant going to church every Sunday, dressed in your Sunday's best, complete with the clip-on tie, trying to stay awake through the entire service, which I wasn't always successful at, and then going to Sunday school afterwards in order to get that proverbial check mark for the week. As I grew up, a few rules were added to that. I referred to them as do's and don'ts of Christianity, such as Christians do go to church every Sunday. Christians do say their prayers before they go to bed. Christians do read their Bible. Christians do not use profanity. They do not drink alcohol, and they do not have sex before marriage. By the time I graduated high school, I felt like I was a pretty good Christian. I got into college, switched churches because the new church offered a later worship service. And let's be honest, who wants to get up for an 8 o'clock Sunday morning service when you're out late following a football Saturday at Ohio State? I know I did not. But at that church, it was the first time that I really felt God talking to me. I can't tell you the number of times that I sat through a message and it just felt like the pastor was staring directly at me, talking to me as a spotlight shone down on my seat. I knew that I probably ought to make some changes, but I just wasn't ready. Living a fully committed Christian life was not as appealing as doing what everyone in my circle was doing on Fridays and Saturdays. And to be honest, I was a little concerned that I would lose some friends, and that I would become an outcast, and so I stayed the course. But those heart tugs continued, and I started going to Campus Crusades for Christ with a friend of mine every once in a while, and I started to see how people my age just truly loved the Lord. And I could see being a Christian was more about a relationship than it was rules, and that to me was mind-blowing. You see, once you enter into a loving relationship, whether that be with your future spouse, or in my case, the creator of the world, it's a game changer. The summer after I graduated college, it was 2007, I remember sitting in a worship service. It was the last song which our church referred to as the invitation song. And I just remember something coming over me. I just kind of broke out into a cold sweat, started getting a little shaky, and I knew without a shadow of a doubt that it was God telling me that it was time to get serious. It was time to jump in with both feet and fully commit myself and give my life to Christ and be forgiven for my sins. And so right then and there, I did that. When that song ended, I walked up to the front of the worship center and got baptized, and my life hasn't been the same since. In the 15 years since that day, I have learned that there's such a difference between believing that Jesus loves me, this I know for the Bible, you know the song, and truly knowing and feeling without a shadow of a doubt that just how much He loves me, and that He will never leave my side, and that He is with me through everything that I go through. And that thought is just so freeing. For somebody who has on more than one occasion been accused of being a penny pincher, it has freed me up to be more generous with all that He has given me. I mean, it's all His anyways, right? So if He wants me to give some of it away, that's what I'll do. I mean, He's shown me more times than I can count that I can never outgive Him. In January of 2020, which really should have been one of the worst years of my life, Jamie, my wife, and I, we left our church of 17 years following some really unfortunate circumstances. It was incredibly difficult. And then to add on top of that, it was right before every church in America shut its doors because of COVID. The people in that church were more like family than really our blood relatives were. It just really had the potential of being devastating. But we cried out to God and asked for Him to help. And because He's awesome, He did. He led us to movement, and I truly believe that we have friends that are just like family at Movement that we had at our old church. In addition to that, in that time of isolation and watching Sunday church services on our couch in our pajamas, I really felt that God led us in our faith journey. He really strengthened our faith, but not just Jamie and my faith, but the faith of our kids. And I feel like God led me to be more intentional in the faith journey of our children. And last summer, our son Bennett gave his life to Christ. It was one of the greatest moments in my life. And I could be wrong, but I don't know that that would have happened had we not had that intentional time at home. I've learned that God always knows what He's doing. Even when it doesn't seem like it's possible that anything good could come out of something so terrible. And when you realize that, there's just so much peace that comes from it.